So this is interesting because this is like the most requested case that we have ever gotten on our page. And I'm actually super excited to talk about this one because it's just wild. So in 2020, Netflix released this docu-series called American Murder: The Family Next Door. It was one of the first true crime docu-series that they put out, and it was a huge hit. She sold the house that she was renting, and she was planning to move into her new place with her boyfriend and her three daughters. And she didn't answer any of her calls. So the friend became worried and decided to go over to her house to check on her. After a while, one of the officers noticed that the garage door wasn't fully closed. So they opened it up, and that's when they made this horrific discovery. As you can see here, the car was inside of the garage, and the body of Shannon Watts was inside of the trunk. And eventually, one man came forward saying that he was the one responsible for all of this. His name is Chris Watts. He is the husband of Shannon and the father of the children, and here is what he said happened. So apparently he had been having an affair for quite some time now, and his pregnant wife, Shanann, found out and she wanted a divorce. And I think that this is what really set Chris over the edge. He tried to stage the scene to make it look like whoever did this ran away in a hurry. But I'm glad that the police saw through that, because if they didn't, who knows how long it would have taken them to find out what he had done. He couldn't accept the fact that his wife was cheating on him, that she was carrying another man's child, and that he was going to lose his kids in the divorce. He couldn't accept that, and it made him snap. So I think if there was any doubt in your mind about whether or not he did this, knowing that he lost his kids and his wife, I think that should clear everything up. And supposedly, Shanann had also hired a lawyer. So he was worried that if Shanann got the upper hand in the divorce, he would lose his kids, he would lose his house, he would lose everything. If you have any thoughts on this case, please leave them below. I always love reading your guys' comments. And as always, I will see you next time. So he came up with this evil plan. He invited Shanann over to the house to collect some of her things so that she could move into her boyfriend's house. But instead, he smothered both her and the kids to death. And then he put the bodies in the car and drove them to an oil field where he worked. And that's where he dumped the bodies. And then he returned home to clean up and wait for the police to come. This is something that is straight out of a horror movie. Whoever did this is sick. And when they went to the oil field to search for the bodies, they found out that he had actually taken the bodies somewhere else, and he led them to the place where he actually dumped the bodies. Now he was arrested and charged with all of the murders. And when asked why he did it, he said that he just snapped. During the trial, he pleaded guilty to all charges and was sentenced to 5 life sentences without the possibility of parole. Just to even think about doing this, I can't imagine. He seemed like the kind of person who would never do something like this. In fact, he even appeared on the news saying that he was looking for his missing wife and kids. He was helping the police search for them. He was putting up missing posters. He was telling the neighbors that they were missing. And I'm sure that a lot of people thought that he was the victim here. Nobody suspected that he had anything to do with their disappearance. And that's the crazy thing about cases like this. Sometimes the person who appears to be the victim is actually the one who did it. So I think that helped him in this case. I don't know why they would do that. That is beyond creepy to me. When she got there, she saw all the lights turned off and assumed that maybe Shanann was asleep. So she let herself in, and that's when she found this. As you can see here, all of the kids' toys were spread across the floor. The TV was on, and there was food on the kitchen counter. It looked like somebody just ran out of the house in a hurry. So the friend waited for a bit, still not hearing anything, and then she called the police and reported her missing. Now, before moving in with her boyfriend, she had to stay at her current residence for a little while longer because her lease wasn't up yet. So she decided to go visit her boyfriend for a few days and bring the kids along. This is an image of what the police saw when they walked into the house. As you can see, the walls were covered in blood and the bodies of the children were laying right there on the floor. This is absolutely insane to me. Why would anybody want to do this? Who could be so cold and calculated to plan this out in their head? Because the way that this crime scene was set up, it looked staged almost. Whoever did this made sure that everything was clean except for the blood on the walls. All of the kids' toys were picked up and put away neatly. It looked like somebody tried to make the house look normal. Like if you were driving by and you saw this house, you wouldn't think anything of it. You'd probably think, oh, wow, that's a cute house with a nice front yard. What a beautiful family. But behind those closed doors, this family was murdered brutally and left in their own home. That is beyond messed up. But when Shanann arrived to her boyfriend's house, she realized that there was just too much stuff that she had to take back with her, and that the kids would probably just be better off staying at her house until the actual moving day. So she took the kids back home and told her boyfriend that she would see him later. But after dropping the kids off, she went to work, but she never showed up. Her coworkers said that she seemed fine when she arrived to work, but around 1 p.m., she called them saying that she needed to leave early because she had a doctor's appointment. So her coworker said, okay, have a good day. And that was the last time anyone had seen Shanann alive. So basically, this show was about this family of 5 who lived in an affluent neighborhood in Texas. And they were seemingly your typical perfect family. There was a dad, a mom, and their 3 children, 2 boys and a girl. But then one day, their whole family just vanished. And when the police went to check out what was going on, they found their home to be absolutely gruesome. So let's talk about this case and what happened in today's episode of. Okay, so we can start off with the beginning of this story. So, like I said, these are the Watts family. They're from Frederick, Colorado, which is in an affluent neighborhood. Their houses are nice, everybody seems happy. And for the most part, things seemed fine within the Watts family. Now, if you ask the neighbors, they did say that they noticed some strange things like loud music coming from the house, dogs barking, the blinds being shut during the day, but they didn't think anything of it. They just thought, okay, that's just the life of a young family with kids. But no one really knew that behind closed doors, things were not exactly as they seemed. Now let's get into how the case started. So Shanann Watts was pregnant and she was getting ready to move in with her boyfriend. She actually had bought a house. A couple hours later, Shannon's friend, who was also her roommate, was supposed to be picking her up that night, but she never showed up. When the cops got there, they started knocking on the door and calling out to see if anybody was inside, but nobody responded. When the police went inside of the house to look for the kids, that's when they found something even worse. After this, obviously, the media blew up. Everybody was wondering what happened to this family and who could have done such a thing. Now, the police weren't buying this story, so I have a few thoughts on this case. First off, I think that this guy got away with his crimes for so long because he seemed trustworthy. The second thing I want to talk about is the fact that Shanann was pregnant with another man's child. And finally, I want to talk about how he cleaned up the house and tried to make it seem like everything was fine. So that is the end of the story. I hope you guys enjoyed it.